Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of Losing Your Mind with Chris Cosentino. I am here with Jeremy Charles, who is currently on book tour for his incredible new, I would say, over-the-top, honest, Newfoundlandian, if that's even a term, cuisine. And I'm really excited to sit down with you. I mean, we've known each other for quite a few years, but it's great to see all your success and especially the book being able to tell a story.
Oh, thanks so much. It's a real honor to be here. It's exciting. First time in Portland.
Yeah, it's so we're cooking together on Sunday for dinner. I think we're doing like 70 or so guests, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that and meeting some new people and we brought some fun products with us from the island, so we got through customs, which is cool too.
That I was actually curious about. You know, like so everything made it? No, they didn't question any product.
No, everything was good. I just said, got some beautiful Newfoundland seafood, and we're heading to an event in Portland to cook with some friends, and I've never felt so welcome at the border this time. I was like, wow, it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it was really, really lovely.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's reassuring to hear that, because I was assuming instantly everything would be opened, taken out, everything would be spoiled because they'd be opening every box, and you're not allowed to bring this.
No, I'm really happy that didn't happen. So I did bring a moose heart with me, so that may have been a curveball. I'm not sure, but
they wouldn't have known.
Fair enough. That's good.
What are they going to say? What is that? Beef heart? Oh, okay.
Yeah. There you go.
It's about the same size, right?
Oh yeah, it is.
So, I think what you've done at Raymond's in Newfoundland is really pretty incredible, and I think everybody should kind of understand the story of how you got to and how you started. You said you're 10 years old now.
Yeah, this year comes 10 years. So,
and that's a huge accomplishment. Yeah,
it's been quite the ride. We've had some peaks and valleys, but really stuck to our guns, and it's all about showcasing and celebrating the products around us and creating a sense of place. And basically, when you come to Raymond's, you're having a true taste of the terroir, all the beautiful things around you. So it's been exciting. It's been a lot of work, but very rewarding at the same time. So
I think a lot of folks don't realize you have access to things that, excuse me, most folks would never be able to serve in their restaurants because you're allowed to serve local game.
Yeah.
So moose,
rabbit,
everything local, everything, and somebody can come to your back door.
Yeah.
As long as they have a tag.
If they're a licensed hunter, yeah.
Yeah.
Registered hunter, and basically, they need to report to wildlife. I'm Joe Schmo, and I have 10 rabbits and 2 partridge, and they just call in the wildlife and report that, and we have a license to purchase and a license to sell, and they just document it, and they'll come every now and then, check your fridge or freezers, and make sure everything is up to snuff, so to speak. So
that doesn't exist here.
Yeah, so I hear it doesn't exist anywhere else in Canada either. So I think it's basically the only place in North America where you're able to go out. I can go out and shoot a moose with my permit, my license, and I report that to wildlife, and it's on the menu, which is pretty amazing to be able to serve truly wild, beautiful, organic proteins, from the land and sea. So it's I feel super fortunate, and that's what Raymond's is all about. If I couldn't serve wild game, I don't know if the restaurant would even open the doors.
Well, I think, and you also get to work directly with fishermen, and so what I thought was really funny is when you arrived, you guys were pretty knackered because you've been up since 4. But the reason you were really knackered is because you were cleaning scallops.
Yeah,
that were delivered to you at what time?
It was 10:30 in the evening.
10:30 in the evening, and you had to be up at 4.
Yeah.
So you were cleaning 80 scallops.
Yeah, I think we cleaned 130, but I think there's 200 there, but I think we brought 100 plus just to make sure we have enough.
And that is really unique. And you said you just make a phone call and he'll go.
Yeah, I got several friends. I mean, in the book there's my buddy Jerry. You can read about him, but I'm fortunate to have a few people that are takes a special person to jump into the Atlantic Ocean, and dive down 60, 70 feet to, hand pick scallops off the bottom of the ocean, or sea urchins, or razor clams. It's I wish I could say I could do it. I'm terrified.
There's no way.
But it's great. These guys are able to do that, and to have these products it's truly amazing. It's there's nothing. You're not going to taste a scallop like that unless you're jumping in the ocean yourself, or you're fortunate to know somebody. It's a beautiful thing, and I always say you're only as good as your product. And when you have a beautiful product, it makes life a lot easier. Just keeping it simple and letting the product speak for itself.
So in your network of folks that are working with you, I mean, yesterday when we went out to dinner, you guys showed me a picture of chanterelles being, like tons of chanterelles, like long, like 6 foot long tables covered with chanterelles. Like, this isn't how many people, and not only just professional people that either, are fishing for a living or, but you have locals that go blueberry picking. I mean, I've heard stories. And it's like, I think those are so amazing.
Yeah, there's, there's a lot of people, I don't know, 20 plus 30, just people who are out there, living off the land, and who are happy to be out picking berries and mushrooms, and, come to the back door, and they know if it's a quality product that we'll take it. It's because, over the years, we've been out there ourselves out picking. It's hard to find the time to pick that much to supply the restaurant. So we got a great community that understand the quality that we're looking for, and it's just a great way to cook, and to have those relationships. People come to the back door with fresh eggs, and again, all different types of seafoods, and sometimes we find people coming with interesting things sometimes we've never even seen before. It's like, wow, that's cool. So it's a bit of a learning process for us as well, and it just feels right, feels good.
That's cool. I mean, not only are you giving your guests a unique experience, you're also supporting the local community by purchasing from everybody there.
Yeah, and another big part is, when you are dining at the restaurant, there's the story behind the food. It's exactly where the food's coming from. And people love hearing that, and people want to know where the food is coming from. And when you can, again, tell that story, it just kind of elevates the dining experience that much more, I believe.
So yesterday you guys were mentioning your blueberry picker who shows up with, how many gallons and gallons of blueberries? It was,
God, I think Ross said, was it 60 or 70 gallons of blueberries?
Yeah,
I believe. I mean, the guy's just out there picking till his hands are literally blue. So it's it's amazing. But I mean, what a beautiful way to spend your day out picking berries and being in the woods, and being
as long as no bears come along, you're fine.
Yeah. How many bears? Well, it's black bears. They won't hurt you. Just when you get to Labrador, you get the polar bears. You got to keep your eyes peeled for them. They're a different breed.
My goodness, we don't have those problems in this city.
Yeah, fair enough.
We have other issues to watch out for.
Roger that.
So, talk a little bit about how Raymond's came to be, and how and you also have another restaurant.
Yeah, Merchant Tavern,
and how you transitioned to that. And how old is Merchant Tavern?
I think it'll be 4 years, going on 5.
So I think for a lot of folks, there's always the question of, how did you get to be where you are? How did it happen? I mean, and it wasn't an overnight thing.
No,
being able to do what you do out there, it's very unique. It took time and energy and trial and error. And
I mean, a lot of people thought we were crazy to open Raymond's, a fine dining restaurant in downtown St. John's. It's a pretty quiet time. It was just before the whole oil and gas boom, so we're very fortunate for that. But I basically, going back a bit, I left home when I was 19, spent 5 years in Montreal, went to culinary school and cooked there with Claude Pelletier and Michel Ross, and then I took a crazy job up in northern Quebec on the Godbout for the Molsons and the Bronfmans. They got this beautiful fishing camp, and So I buggered off from the city, and I love fly fishing. That's one of my favorite things to do in the whole wide world. And I was like, sounds like a good idea. So I did the summer there, cooking on the side of the river, and I met a bunch of people, and eventually took a job in Chicago, working privately. And yeah, so I was there for about 5 years, and ended up meeting Paul Kahn there, who was an amazing human, great chef.
Unbelievable human. I mean, you know, you can't go to Chicago without getting stuck in the Paul vortex.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I'm this Canadian kid. I don't know anybody, and I meet him at the market. And of course, my days off, I'm at Blackbird, sitting at the bar, just loving the tasting menus. And I meet Donnie and the whole gang, and they really took me in, and I get the invite to the barbecue in Paul's backyard, and it was just fantastic, and that was a wonderful experience in Chicago. And eventually had the opportunity to move back home and open a restaurant down in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's, called Atlantica. It was a beautiful spot overlooking the water. And I was there for 3 years, and then had the opportunity to open Raymond's. So Raymond's, myself and Jeremy Bonia, sommelier, my business partner, his father passed away a few years before. His name is Ray Bonia. And my grandfather, Ray Baggs, he passed away like several years before that. We always said, if we ever have the opportunity to do our own thing, we're going to call it Raymond's, So it's that's where the name came from. And, the two Jeremys, JB, JC, and then, God, I married Sarah, and then he married a Sarah. It's a bit crazy, so and confusing.
Are you serious?
No, I'm serious.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I mean, it keeps on going on. I'm not going to bore people, but anyhow, it's kind of funny. But yeah, we opened Raymond's, and we won Best New Restaurant in Canada that year, and we did that at Atlantica, actually, now I think about it. So people are like, what's on the go in Newfoundland, besides fish and chips, and they call it brown food, I guess, But, we started to stir the pot and do some fun things, and people started to notice that there's, good food on the go in Newfoundland. And, we're a small island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean,
But what made you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go really north. I'm going to go so far.
Oh man, it was just, I wanted to get back home and cook and fish and be with friends and family, and
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was, a leap of faith, but like anything, you got to take chances, and I'm really, I don't regret any of it. It was good. It's 10 years.
Well, it also, I mean, you're living the best you.
Yeah, I mean, I got 2 young kids, Hank and Iris, and we go fishing a lot and berry picking, and just enjoy all the wonderful things that Newfoundland and Labrador has to offer. If you don't like the outdoors, don't come to Newfoundland, basically. Or being on the ocean, jigging codfish, and there's always something to be doing. Beautiful hikes, and just really embracing everything it has to offer. So it's cool.
So how did the local community, when you were opening Raymond's at first, how did they respond? Were you seeing a lot of locals come? Was it a lot of what is going on here? Why are they?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting transition. I mean, at Atlantica, we did start to develop quite a local base of customers, and we were doing some different things. And then when we left Atlantica, went to Raymond's, we had a lot of people follow us there, which is great. But once we start putting moose and partridge and rabbit on the menu, it's like, it's a bit of a, not shocked, but I guess locals are like, wow, this is stuff we eat at the cabin on the weekends, not at a fine dining table with white linens and fancy wine. So I think it took a bit of a transition for people to understand what we were doing, but obviously it was embraced and supported and celebrated. It continues to be so.
But also, to think about that, their mindset was, this is something that is part of a hunting weekend, and but they sure weren't treating the partridge and the moose the same way you were.
No. That's true. I mean, I've had some amazing meals of moose over the years. Bottle moose, which is one of my favorite things. But
And what's that?
bottle moose is just like fatback pork and onions and moose, and it's basically, just jarred, and you can keep it for quite a long time. So it's bottle moose. It's very simple. It's in the book, actually.
That's crazy though. Just bottled moose.
Yeah. So I mean, you throw a bottle of moose in your backpack, and what we call a boil up when you're out in the woods, picking berries or shooting rabbits or whatever. You just have a little fire. You throw your bottle of moose in there and some, a few boiled potatoes or what have you, and a bit of bread, and that's your feed.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's nice, but I have to lose my train of thought here now. But yeah, it's moose is amazing. But yeah, going back, not many people like locals would never serve a moose medium rare or a partridge or everything for the most part in our our culinary background. Everything was always cooked and
Hammered.
hammered, like cooked again.
Cooked and recooked.
Cooked and recooked. I'm like, no, that's done. That's done.
It's dead already. You don't need to kill it.
We got these birds back home. They're called turs, and people put the tur in the oven or boil it or what have you, and it's like, man, everybody's like, that doesn't taste so good. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't taste so good because it's cooked to death. But when you properly age a tur and serve it like you would a duck breast, a beautiful medium rare, it's an amazing thing. People are like, wow, what is this? I'm like, that's a tur.
And they're just maybe we've been cooking it wrong.
No, it's again, we've come a long way, and I'm just talking about my grandparents and that generation. They lived off root vegetables, and salt fish basically, and some pork. So everything would be coming out of root cellars, and everything was cooked and cooked again, like I said, because they're always terrified of trichinosis or whatever, some bacteria or whatever they had in meat back those days. But heavily salted cures. And that's the way they lived. They lived organically off the land before the word organic was really a cool word, So that was really inspiring when it comes to cooking for me, and menu development, and going back to the basics and having chats with my grandmother, or I call her Nan, and she's 92 now, so she's still kicking. So it's great to hear those stories, and it's always inspiring for sure.
Last night when we were having dinner, there was this conversation about basically inspiration coming from
isolation.
Yeah. And I think that's really, really powerful, right? Yeah. And what I thought was, that was something for folks out there who like skateboarding. Rodney Mullen created a whole world of tricks, being isolated from the rest of the skateboarding community and being by himself.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really powerful educational medium, because you're forced to look back into yourself, and look at your environment and where you are to drive. Yeah.
No, it's a big part of, what we do at the restaurant, and when you're in the middle of December, January, February, March, the cold months, and all you have is root vegetables and not much, and you're again an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. There's not much going on, so you really need to draw inspiration from the raw ingredients that you have around you. And how many ways can you cook a rutabaga? But it's amazing what you can do actually when you really start.
When you're forced to.
Yeah, when you're forced to. And some of our best dishes and food that's come out of the restaurant is just really working with ingredients and pushing them and it's always rewarding, I guess, when you see a dish come together that's made from just the simplest of ingredients, and that's really come from nothing. So it's cool.
So with the tavern, was that something that you decided to do for just lower price point, a way to cross things over, a way to share more with the community? What was that?
Yeah, all those things. I mean, Raymond's was, especially for locals, it's a restaurant that a lot of people come for, special occasions. weddings, birthdays, what have you, anniversaries. And yeah, we weren't serving lunch either or breakfast. So we really were not in that market whatsoever. So, myself and Jay talked about, how do we get into the market of, serving the average Joe downtown lunch and what have you. So it just made sense for us to open a tavern that was, it's like our bistro basically, and we're able to, use all the prime cuts at Raymond's, and a lot of our grinds and what have you go down the street to the tavern for braises and stews, and yeah, it was just just made sense, and yeah, it's a really fun place to go, and everything's made from scratch, and yeah, it's been working out quite well.
Now, do you cross over staffed? Is that an opportunity to train staff to move up to, or to go back and forth?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great opportunity for us to use, staff from Raymond's to help, get the wheels turning, so to speak, and get systems in place, and because they obviously understand our philosophy, and working together over the years. A lot of people that have been with us since day one, so it was great to have those people help, and yeah, it was a lot of work, but yeah, it's a great spot, and it's the whole local community really has embraced it. It's a great lunch space, and we have a great dining service, and it's a big, beautiful room. It's something a lot of people don't expect when they come to St. John's. It's a big old bank, so when you walk in there, it's a open kitchen, and it's yeah, a very welcoming space, which I'm happy we have.
So a lot of the things, I mean, the book is stunning. I mean, it really is, and I think there's so much to come from it, and for people, especially folks that do have massive, the seasons.
Yeah.
Chicago, New England. Everybody, of course, is going to learn from it, but
yeah,
there's a lot to be taken from this seasonality, the true seasonality of what you're doing there. But also, I mean, there's techniques in there, your beeswax aging, I'll use, for example, is very unique.
Yeah. I mean, it's something.
And I'm sure that is that something that's traditionally done there? Is it something that you guys figured out? Is it something you played with? I'd never heard of it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not traditional. Not that I was aware of. And we just worked on that, myself and Ross and Celeste, and yeah, it kind of just came together. It's a beautiful way to let things age, and it's been working out quite well. So it's an interesting technique.
Where do you get that much beeswax?
Yeah, we deal with a few farmers that we get a lot of beeswax. So what are you going to do with it? So it's yeah, it's interesting.
And what do you notice with different cuts or different animals? Are you noticing nuances coming from the beeswax into the actual meat? Are you noticing the way it ages different? Is there the enzymatic reaction of the breakdown of the muscle different with being in wax?
I think there's one there, but we have a tur in beeswax. It's amazing how everything just breaks down a bit, and yeah, it really, years ago they'd use paraffin wax, so I was like, why don't we just use beeswax instead? So it was interesting, and it definitely has a different flavor note as well, and yeah, it just made sense. So it's yeah, it's been interesting to see it all evolve, so to speak.
I mean, it's pretty incredible. Visually, it's stunning.
Yeah, it's pretty wild when you see it. It's like, what the hell is that? But no, again, it just makes sense, and it's a beautiful way to do it, I think, and visually stimulating as well when you see it.
So you have 10 years now at Raymond's. You have, the tavern going, and you're continuously working on an event, which somehow or another I've managed to not be able to come to every time you've invited me, which makes me feel like a turd because I've always have a previous engagement, but it's called Dinner for Levi. And I think you're giving back to your community in a really, really special way. And I think this is something that everybody needs to know about.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. When we were, opening Raymond's, Sarah was pregnant with her first son, and she got a got a note, went to see the doctor, and she was 25 weeks, and the baby was coming, and we're like, oh my God, this is not good. So she spent a month in hospital, and Levi came premature, and he spent a month in a neonatal unit, and things didn't work out. So we lost our first son. So that was tough.
Yeah.
Tough. But, I went through a pretty dark year, and again, opening Raymond's, but thank God I had something to focus on, and I said to myself, how can we celebrate his life, and bring back something positive from this, So we started an event called Dinner for Levi, where we invite friends and chefs from around the world. Really, we've had people from Europe and here in the States and around Canada, and we come together to cook together, celebrate Newfoundland ingredients, and raise a bunch of money for the neonatal unit. So it's a great time, to have your buddies come and cook, and get to cook with all these ingredients: moose and rabbit and partridge, and we take a walk in the woods or get out in the ocean and try to show them all the good things in Newfoundland. And we have one night dinner where we raise lots and lots of money, 70, 80, 90 grand. And this is the 8th year coming up now, so we're close to over $500,000 for the neonatal unit. So
it's amazing.
It's good. It's good. Sorry, it's tough to talk about sometimes. I
understand. No, I get it.
But yeah, no, it's awesome, and the community comes together, and all my friends from all around come out, and it's amazing, really. And I know it does really good for the JMA. Sarah was at the hospital last week, and they had just built a room, a unit in the neonatal named after Levi. It's amazing. It's unreal. So I'm really happy about that.
It's incredible. I mean, and that's one of the things that I hear from so many different chefs is, and I think it was really, really special in what makes you, Jeremy, so unique is the humble nature in which you are. You embrace everybody. You really bring so much education to the industry, but at the same time, we don't have to cut a hole in the door to get you through it, to get your head through. And I think that's, you walk the walk. And it was really great because, and I was telling you last night, my front of the house manager here was like, my God, this guy really walks the walk. Like, I did my research. And that is exciting for me to see, watching some of our staff recognize that, but to know that, and people need to understand, like, that what you do is not easy.
No, definitely not.
There's no phone calls like, hey, where's who's delivering my moose today? It's not like you're calling your local, local moose purveyor. Hey guys, where's my moose today? Like, you really 100% rely on what's in your environment. Yeah. Unlike a lot of us, I can point to myself. I rely on a phone call. It's like, hey, how come my onions aren't here? Like what's going on? And I think that's a really big part of what you're doing up there is so reliant on nature beyond.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And the relationships that you've created in your community for people to feel comfortable to come to the back door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed.
And how much time you have to go out and fish or call your buddy to get you scallops, or how do you say it in Newfoundland? Do you say scallops or scallops?
I would say scallops.
Yeah, but see, Boston, they say scallops, right?
Yeah.
I can do that because I grew up in New England. But I think that's a really powerful thing that is, as a restaurant owner and chefs around the community don't realize that you really are bound and held by what's there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, after 10 years, you kind of get the lay of the land, and obviously growing up there as a kid, but we've really developed those relationships, and people have really come out of the woods, so to speak. And it took a lot of work. Not everybody's just going to show up to your back door and, have faith in you to grow certain things or what have you. So it's been a long road, but it's, very rewarding when you sit down and where you see people enjoy all these beautiful ingredients that come from all across the province, from all different people, to create a menu. It's pretty special for sure.
So yesterday, one of the things that I thought was really amazing was the things that you've omitted from the restaurant. So, oil now you're getting from the island.
Yeah, we finally tapped in some oil, thank God.
So you're not having to purchase oil.
Yeah.
Off non-local.
Yeah.
Tomatoes, you have somebody just grow them for you.
Tomatoes, yeah. We have our friend Peter Burke doing all our sea salt, which is a beautiful thing,
I mean,
which I brought some for you as well.
You're making your own salt. You're getting oil from locally.
Yeah.
Tomatoes locally. And then how much preservation are you doing? Like, to talk about getting through, times when there aren't things.
Yeah.
You're putting up, how much of the blueberries are you putting up comparative to what you're using every day?
Yeah, we put away a lot of stuff, because winter's coming. We always say that, won't be long, winter's coming. And
sounds like a Game of Thrones analogy.
Yeah, I know, that's right. It's actually a song my father-in-law wrote. He's a blues musician. Anyhow, I'll give you the record later. But it's, winter's always around the corner. And especially this year, had such a short growing season. The summer was like, we were waiting so long for the summer. It came for like 3 weeks and it went. And such a short growing season. So you really have to step back and look at what's around and, act quickly, so to speak, and put down as much as you can and preserve and pickle and, all that kind of good stuff. Because if you don't have a game plan in place, it makes for a very, challenging winter, fall.
But I think what's interesting to that point is you're working towards doing what everybody did for survival.
Yeah, we're going back to our roots.
And I think from that, you're pushing the boundaries not only of those items and availability of foods, but you're also pushing the classic foods of that region to the next step.
Yeah, it's taken, those dishes and those techniques from our history and past, and we definitely use those things, and that's how they lived for generations, with root cellars and pickles and salt, and and it's again always inspiring. But they were right, and I think we got lost there for a while, and people just go to the big box stores and they haven't been growing their gardens, they haven't been filling their root cellars, and it's only now I feel in the last few years, this new generation, people are like, you know what, we got to start going back to our roots and going back to the things we've done for generations. And it's been amazing to see that, especially at the farmers markets and, just online stuff. People are just going back and growing their own gardens and pulling their own vegetables and, living off the ocean and stuff like that. It's amazing. And I'm super happy to be part of all that,
It's unreal. It's so. What is your summer growing season, for an example? Like, let's be honest here. Like, is it a month? Is it 2 months? Is it?
Last year we had a great year. We had a good solid 2 months. This year, summer never came till late July. August was pretty good. September is always beautiful, but then you're starting to get those cold nights and stuff. So we had like 4 weeks of good heat, I guess you'd say, this year. And
so what is heat there?
Well, when I got off the plane yesterday, I think it was 28 degrees here. I'm trying to think, I think it was 70 odd here. That's a hot day for us,
Well, last night we were walking outside and it was warm. It was beautiful out.
Oh, it was gorgeous. That was like a lovely warm summer evening for us. My God, I can count on one hand how many evenings I've had this year like that, But I always say you don't come to Newfoundland for the weather, because it's just, you're out there and you have all these different currents and all kinds of factors for weather. So it's when you have good weather, it's really appreciated, But a lot of farmers have been working on, heated greenhouses and, I've really invested in stuff like that, which has been great for us. And Yeah, a lot of people learn to deal with the weather, seeing what grows, in our climate, and trying out new veg and stuff like that. And that just comes back to relationships, and we'll take those ingredients, we invest in the farmers and support them, so they're willing to go out and try different things and grow large amounts of certain crops for us as well, which is great, and yeah, it's a good relationship.
So you must have just like a area that's full
We have areas of we have
full of jars of like, here's the blueberry pickles, here's the blueberry preserves, here's the I mean
no, it's we don't have a proper root cellar, so to speak, which is definitely a goal of mine for sure. But yeah, we got stuff tucked away everywhere, I don't know. You can never have enough space in a restaurant. There's always, back rooms and doors and back hallways and, wine cellars. Every bit of space is used, including my house. And you tuck things away wherever you can. And, yeah, space is always premium. But it's important.
wow. I mean, that's a lot. And I don't think people realize, like, again, we're going back to the classic of how someone survived the long winter.
Yeah.
But you're feeding people every day in your restaurant using these classic techniques.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of work, man. And we got a great crew, Ross and Celeste and the whole team, really working hard to make sure, things are done properly. And yeah, it's a lot of work. And it all comes back to the team, and having great attitudes and people who actually want to be at the restaurant and experience, Newfoundland and all the wonderful things it has to offer. So it's, it's not every day you see a moose come to the back door.
No.
Or we got our lambs that come from Howard Morey. They've been raised out on an island in the middle Atlantic Ocean. So they're like a lovely pré salé lambs, and they come and we have a lot of whole butchery, which is a lot of fun to see, and including all the codfish and halibut and tuna and God.
So you just had a tuna.
Yeah.
You had mentioned yesterday, it's just a small fish. Just a small tuna came in the other day. So the way you guys explained it, I thought was really interesting. And I grew up in New England.
Yep.
I was fortunate enough to commercial fish with my neighbors, the Wheelers, amazing people. But this is a really interesting way that you guys get these fish. And I thought this was really cool.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Robert Daly and Greer Hunt. There's a few guys on the island that got a license to fish rod and reel. So they're out there in Conception Bay and down in Trinity Bay. And this time of year, the tuna come in and feed on the mackerel. And they also feed on the codfish.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They'll feed on cod, especially when fishermen are hauling their nets and they're gutting the fish. The tuna are just going crazy, feeding off all the gut and stuff like that. So, but anyhow, yeah, Robert's out there with a rod and reel and hooking these fish, and they either go to Japan, New York, Boston, or we try to keep them, on the island. It's sometimes 600, 700, 800-pound fish, so it's like a serious wrestling match. Trying to butcher a fish like that is quite a learning experience if you've never done it before. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and we use that at the tavern, and we share with the rest of the community, other restaurants. My buddy Tack and Todd and all the guys, we break down the fish and make sure everybody gets a chunk here and there, and because there's a lot of fish to deal with. But
that's a lot of fish.
Yeah, so it's nice. It's going back to community. We got a pretty good community now in St. John's with a lot of restaurants and everyone working together and supporting each other. And it's it wasn't like that 15 years ago, So it's been nice to have support of other chefs and working together to create a better dining experience for everybody, when they come to the island. So it's cool.
But one of the things I thought that was super interesting was like when they get that fish on the line,
yeah,
you get a phone call.
Yeah.
They call you and say,
yeah,
we got a monster.
Oh, yeah.
You want it.
Yeah. I get a photo of the fish too. That's, I'm like, oh my god, okay, you got to work pretty quickly because there's not much time to be dealing with a fish that big, whether it's staying on the island or if it's getting shipped off AC cargo somewhere around the world.
Yeah, I mean that's a guaranteed sale for them going to wherever.
Yeah. It's a lot of work too. God, it's not just a few codfish. It's a massive fish. So it's a lot of.
And how does something like how do you guys maneuver? You're talking 500 plus pounds.
Oh yeah, you're talking about like a forklift and in the back of a truck, and we have a table where we kind of.
What do you roll the table outside?
We do in the back of the restaurant. Yeah, I mean that's the only way to do it. It's huge. Or we'll go over to the fish plant itself. We've butchered a few fish over there, and yeah, it's challenging, and but it's amazing, and it's another beautiful product that we have.
I mean, that's unreal.
Us,
I mean, that's like opportunity one of a lifetime for someone to participate in that.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And
but that's no joke when you're breaking down a fish of that size.
No, and
mistakes are costly.
They are. I mean, we're paying $9-10 a pound, sometimes $8.
Yeah, let's just put that into perspective.
Yeah.
$9 to $8 a pound for line caught A grade.
Yeah. It's
tuna.
Good. It's good.
So just a smidge of a price. I think that's the price of skate nowadays in San Francisco.
That's the thing when you live on the ocean, and the prices tend to be quite good, quite competitive.
Well, yeah, because you're in the community of it.
Yeah.
You're living it.
And my friends out hand lining codfish. You're not going to get a better cod. And we pay them as much as we think is fair. We don't try to undercut any of the fishermen or growers and stuff like that. We always pay people the best possible. So that's important.
It's really important. I mean, that's their living, their livelihood. And
yeah.
Growing up in New England and being part of the fishing community as a kid, we don't negotiate for fish price.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Yeah, doesn't. That's it.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
They're not a big box. Definitely fishing is hard life.
Yeah, when you're on the ocean, I've been out many, many times as you, and see what these guys go through, and hauling nets or traps or pots on the Atlantic Ocean on a big swell, and it's crazy.
Your feet freeze when salt water freezes your feet to the deck of the boat. There's a problem.
Yeah, I mean
that's no joke.
Yeah, I see the boats going out through the harbor in St. John's. Raymond's looks right out through the harbor. You can see the boats leaving and coming and going, and sometimes they're gone for a few days. Out hauling crab pots, and my buddy's crab fisherman. I hear the stories. I'm like, my God, you couldn't pay me enough money to be at it. So it's a lot of respect goes out to those guys who are working on the ocean. And people don't understand what goes into getting that food to the table. It's a lot of effort.
A lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's it's a very dangerous because the ocean. She's in charge. No,
man, it's insane. Yeah, I much respect.
Have to.
Yeah,
we have to,
and that's why you respect the product that much more as well. I'm like, guys, this doesn't just happen. So it's so it's really important.
So what's next? You're on the book tour.
Yeah, been traveling around a bit with the book, which has been nice. And we got next month. I think we're traveling across Canada with the book.
Nice.
Gonna pop in and see Justin LeBeau, Rob Gentile. Where else are we going? We're going to Vancouver at Laboratoire to see Lee.
Oh, beautiful.
And going to see Normand at his new restaurant, Beaumont.
Okay.
And Michael Smith and PEI, got a dinner there. So, yeah, it's nice to get out and cook with friends and, bring the book along. It's like a traveling salesman now, right?
Yeah. And so the book is Wildness.
Yeah, Wildness. We went back and forth on the name, and I guess that just stuck. It just made sense, It's, I'm really happy with the book. John Cullen did some beautiful photography. He's really diligent and, real perfectionist. So I was really happy with that. And, yeah, it's nice to be able to tell the story behind the food. You know, the people. It's not just a cookbook. It's it's the stories behind the food that are important. You know, that bring it all together, and yeah, I'm really happy about it. I'm proud of it, and it took a lot of work from a lot of people, and yeah, I hope people enjoy it.
I mean, it's what you're doing there is not just, it's a way of life. And that's what you're representing with Wildness and what you do every day. I mean, it's...
Yeah, just telling the story. And I was pretty terrified. I didn't want to disappoint anybody, or, you're telling the story of Newfoundland and what's going on, so to speak. So it's, it's very stressful, but again, very rewarding, I think, in the end.
Everybody that sees the book loves it. And, like, I have cooks that ask me, what new book should I get? We do a reading list at all the restaurants. Like, hey, this is coming up. You should check this out. Or this is great for the science. And this is great for, and, they're like, have you seen this book? It's crazy what they're doing. It's so cool. Yeah. And it's exciting to see their excitement.
Oh, I remember being a young cook and devouring cookbooks. That was, I haven't had the time to sit down and read a book at all lately. The irony, but nothing better than a good cookbook, and hopefully it inspires people and inspires the next generation of young cooks coming out of Newfoundland as well. Just showing the possibilities and things grow on from there, and it's an interesting book.
Are you seeing? Excuse me. Are you seeing a lot of young cooks throughout Canada traveling to you to experience and work with you now? Are they reaching out saying, I want to understand more of, the tradition of what you're doing and coming to you? Are you seeing that a lot now?
Yeah, we have a lot of people coming from Quebec, Ontario. We had a few cooks here from Ottawa this past year. And it's always nice to see people come from away, and want to see what's going on. I like when people come and stay for at least a year. I think I was saying that to you earlier on. It's tough when people pop in for a month or two and move on. So it's nice when people come and commit and, cook throughout the seasons, throughout the times when everything is flush and lovely, and then times when it's challenging, to see to get the whole experience. So, but yeah, we've had a lot of people come from across the country, which is, it's nice, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I have people come and show up and it's like, you know what, this is not for me. I'm like, that's okay. And sometimes, we have people who haven't left and they've been there for years. So it's, you never know.
That's awesome. So I do a pretty straightforward, question round. Just quick fire.
Okay.
And it's super, super no big deal.
Yep.
So coffee or tea?
Oof. I love a good cup of tea at my nan's, but I do drink a lot of coffee. 50-50?
No answer's wrong, dude. It's okay. Just, there's no wrong answer. It's
Newfoundland loves tea. It's a big tea drinking community.
Is it?
Yeah. Cup of tea. But, I do enjoy a nice cup of coffee in the morning just to get the engine going.
Huh. Red or white?
Jeez. I used to drink white all the time, but red all the time. I love white. Like a nice white burgundy is, beautiful.
Bourbon, tequila?
Oh, God. I have to say probably bourbon.
Beer or cider?
Beer.
Is cider big up there?
It's starting to catch on. We've got a lot of micro brews happening over the last few years, so it's it's coming slowly but surely. Yeah.
Nigiri, sashimi.
Sashimi.
Sea urchin, caviar.
I'm gonna say caviar.
Wow.
Because I've been kind of, I don't know, sea urchin's been scratching my throat lately. I think I'm developing something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. But when we make the sauce tomorrow, you're going to have to taste it. I've got raw scan too. Because it's...
You think you're becoming allergic?
Yeah, it's over this past year. Every time I make this sea urchin sauce, it's really... I have something going on in my throat, and it's kind of terrifying. So Well, I got to make sure it's seasoned, so I'll have somebody taste it.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. I do love caviar. Jeez.
Hot dog hamburger.
I live in Chicago, man. Chicago dog.
I love me an encased meat. Nothing like encased meats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chocolate or fruit?
Oh, I love chocolate. Yeah, I love chocolate.
And you don't use chocolate at the restaurant, correct?
No, we don't. So it's quite challenging, but I definitely get my fix at my friend. She's a potter, and she brings in all these beautiful chocolate bars from around the world. And,
really?
I got a pretty high chocolate tab there. Yeah. So.
You don't even use citrus at the restaurant?
No, we don't. We've moved away from that as well. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
It's big. It's not of origin. It's not of tradition.
No. So, I mean, yeah.
That's cool.
We're getting there.
You're getting there. We are receding from the rest of the world. You're cutting off the ships from coming, bringing things. I love it.
God help us.
Oh, man. So you've got this tour coming up.
Yep.
Any new projects on the horizon? Other cookbooks in the mix? Or are you just hunkering down and getting ready for the winter?
Yeah, I think really just focusing on the winter now coming up. And, yeah, no real projects down the pipe right now. Just kind of taking a breath and, getting the book done took a lot out of me mentally, physically.
It's a lot.
Yeah, as you know. And just looking forward to getting back into the kitchen and yeah, just focusing on the winter and focusing on the family and, focusing on myself a bit too, just trying to take care of yourself. And hockey season starts up now next month too. So
yeah,
I get on the ice 2 or 3 times a week. So that's my kind of...
Oh, do you?
That keeps me sane,
Nice.
Chasing around.
What's your team?
God. I like the Leafs. I like the Canadians. People are like, how can you like the Canadians and the Leafs? I'm like, I'm just a hockey fan, man. I like the Oilers too. So
it's fun. It's a great sport.
Yeah, it's good. And I played a lot of hockey as a kid, and it's a big part of our life. So it's good. It's awesome.
For sure. So, are there still tickets available for
Dinner for Levi?
Dinner for Levi? And if someone wants to come, I know it's going to be September 21st, correct?
Yeah, 21st. Yeah.
September. And this podcast will have been aired by then. Won't have been aired by then.
Yep.
But if people want to come next year, how can they find out? Is it best to go to Raymond's website to look it up? And
we have a Dinner for Levi website.
Okay.
And, or you can just contact the Merchant Tavern. And I got some stuff on Instagram there too for information. And next year will be, it's always the 3rd Saturday in September. So I don't have it right in front of me, but yeah, it's usually the 21st, the 22nd, which is, falls on my birthday, which is always interesting. But yeah, it's in that area. And it's a really lovely night. And people always have a great time and great food, music, a few laughs, and some interesting auction items, trips here, there, and everywhere, trips to Labrador.
And I've heard there's codfish kissing at certain times.
Yeah.
So what is this? Before we close this out, because I think it's really important. Normally I do the questions at the the rapid fire, but I think this is something that I've heard from multiple folks that there is the doors close, the beer flows.
Yeah, the cod.
The cod kissing happens. So let's just go through that really quick.
Yeah, it's called a screech-in, and basically it's to become an honorary Newfoundlander, you must, there's a saying, there's 3 or 4 verses, and you take a shot of screech, which is Newfoundland rum, which came from, down the islands. We trade the salt fish for the rum barrels, and it's called screech. And you take a shot of screech, and then you bring out the codfish, and you got to kiss the cod, and you get your diploma of being an honorary Newfoundlander.
Wow.
You're screeched in.
That's amazing. Awesome.
So look forward to getting you screeching at some point in time.
Oh, man.
We can kiss the arse of a puffin, they say, too. Whatever's on hand.
Well, Jeremy, thank you very much for taking time. I know you are on a bit of a a holiday here in Portland. So enjoy your time, and looking forward to cooking with you on Sunday.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Chris.
Happy to have you.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.